Greetings, world, wide, web. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, I'm here in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery. I felt like today going to see the Hall of the Presidents. So, let's go see the Hall of the Presidents. A friend of mine insists that there is George Washington, and then there is everyone else. That is to say, there's George Washington, and then there's every other president. I can't argue with him too strenuously. This is the Rembrandt Peale painting of George Washington, apparently from 1795. This is called the Lansdowne Portrait, George Washington, by Gilbert Stuart. Oil on canvas, 1796. What makes Washington great? Many, many things. However, he pointed out, in our progress towards political happiness, my station is new. I walk on untrodden ground. He was the first. He set precedents. And he set them well, which is one of the things that makes him great. A very large portrait. Now this is a painting of Thomas Jefferson, but I have to admit, I'm not really familiar with it. Who's it by? It's by Mather Brown, 1786. I would not necessarily be able to tell you that that was Thomas Jefferson. But anyway, that's who it is. Now I know that's Thomas Jefferson because it looks like it to me. There's the nose. Well, it looks like Thomas Jefferson. John Tyler. You have to admire that nose. A very patrician-looking gentleman. Zachary Taylor. Was he old rough and ready? I don't remember, and I don't see that on the plaque. But I do like the military uniform. And here's a man whose name was synonymous with comedy back in the 60s, Millard Fillmore. I don't know what's especially funny about the name Millard Fillmore, but there you go. Here's two of the worst presidents right here in the same corner. James Buchanan, who is not looked upon favorably by historians because he just sort of let the Civil War happen. He also has that interesting hairstyle. And then there's Andrew Johnson, one of the two American presidents who was impeached. However, my candidate for the greatest president of all time is right here, Abraham Lincoln. This is the G.P.A. Healy painting from 1887. It is quite large. Behind the G.P.A. Healy painting is this. This is a month before his second inauguration. It is, of course, a photograph, not a painting. It is a photograph with considerable soul. This is Lincoln's life mask. This is a life mask done 2 months before his death. Castings of Abe Lincoln's hands. My favorite general of the Civil War is right here, Ulysses S. Grant. But as a president, not so much. This is a painting by Thomas Leclerc, circa 1880. Here's a collection of men from Ohio who became president, who were all Civil War veterans. McKinley was one of them. Here's another one, Rutherford B. Hayes. Here's another one, James A. Garfield. I am restraining myself and not yelling, "Bully, bully," at this portrait. Teddy Roosevelt, of course. Here's another stinker, Warren G. Harding. Regarded as being an exceptionally handsome man during his lifetime, and, well, let's just say his scandals were later mirrored by Bill Clinton's scandals. And here is, without a doubt, the fattest president of the United States, William Howard Taft, weighing in at over 300 pounds. A member of the Clean Plate Club. And Silent Cal. Not saying anything still. I do like the cloak. The hands I can do without. But that cloak is stylish. Not a big fan of this gentleman and his administration either, Lyndon Baines Johnson. What impresses me is the detail that's rendered with the Capitol building in the background. Nice. We're over here with the modern presidents. Guess who this one is? George H.W. Bush as a horseshoe player. Not the most flattering image, but at least it's somewhat better than that one. Egad. And I just heard a gentleman say something about the best president of our life. Can't argue with him there either. Not a bad portrait. The worst president of our life? Could be. I have a friend who believes that. I think there have been worse since him. I think this is a somewhat better portrait, however. Here's the father and son wall. I don't know what you think about George Bush as president, but you have to admire this painting. I think the technique is very nice and it's very naturalistic. An impressive painting. Over here is dear old dad, Poppy, George H.W. Bush. Again, a good portrait. I like it. There's a specific one of Bill Clinton I'm looking for, however. Well, I can't say that I was ever much of a fan of the administration of JFK, but I do think the man deserves better than this. Don't like this one at all. And have you ever seen that bust of him in the Kennedy Center? Not a real fan of that either.
I'm going to sit down.
Here's a portrait of a man who saved civilization. Dwight David Eisenhower, dressed as a general, which makes sense. Good portrait. And here's a fellow, even though he's a Democrat, I have come to admire. Truman, Harry S. Truman. He did two important things. He fired an insubordinate General MacArthur, and he dropped the atomic bomb on Japan. Those are difficult decisions to make, and I have to give him credit for making them. And then here's a man I never cared for at all, not even when I was a young Democrat. Richard Nixon. However, he benefits from having his painting done by Norman Rockwell. Here's something that wasn't here last time I was here. The sculpture of a cartoonist, Pat Oliphant. Look at Nixon, rendered as Napoleon. It appears to be on the retreat from Moscow. There's Gerald Ford. And there's Jimmy Carter, with Bill Clinton looming in the background. Interesting. Didn't know he could sculpt.